I am delighted today to introduce you to Sam McFarlane. She is with Sam Says. She's out of the greater Melbourne area, and she is does standout social and online content for solopreneurs and SMEs. Sam, we are delighted to hear from you today. So please tell us how we can refer you and what else we need to know about your business in order to be great referral partners.
Thank you so much, Terry Lee, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to you all today. So I thought I would talk to you all about the reasons why you might engage a social media manager, because this is a question that comes up quite a lot when I'm working with clients and presenting at workshops as well. So a little bit of trivia to start us off. And did you know that it takes at least 8 times for a customer to have contact with you before they feel comfortable to buy? Now, this number, I think I've seen it even as high as 16 touch points. I've seen 13 touch points. It just depends on, I guess, what happens really is essentially it's getting more and more touch points that people need. Now in order to buy from you. Now, it doesn't necessarily matter if you're a service-based business or product-based business. People will only buy when they do trust you. I think with product, there are some caveats on that with product-based businesses. If they're quite a low price product, then they don't always need to have as many touch points. So that is why you need to keep putting your content out there on social media, because if your followers are liking and connecting with you on social media, then they're just that one step closer to becoming a customer of yours. Because we all want to do business with people that we feel like we know, like, and trust. And so having a presence on social media is just one form of marketing that can help you with this. So rather than doing all of the social media management yourself, you can hire a social media manager like me to help you. But why would you use a social media manager when you could probably just do it all yourself? And this is a question that I get asked often, and it is a pretty valid point. But most of the time, my clients find that they're not being consistent with their social media, and they run out of content ideas, and they run out of things to say, or they feel like they're running out of things to say, and that's why they come to me. So they may, just not be bothered to create that consistent content. They may not really know what to put out there. They might just feel like they're constantly selling to their audience and they don't want to be doing that. So they come to me because they feel like they're wasting time, and that their efforts are better spent in areas that they love rather than being on social media, which they may not necessarily enjoy. So what does a social media manager do? In a nutshell, they take care of your brand on social media. So they keep you visible on your social media platforms. So my packages are tailored to my clients, and depending on what their goals are. All of my content is tailored to each individual client, their target audience, and the social media platform that I'm working across, because obviously people go to different platforms for different reasons. So people are usually on LinkedIn to talk about business. People are usually on Facebook to catch up with family and friends. People are usually on Instagram for inspiration, and they'll often go to Twitter for the latest news and updates and things like that. So if you think about the particular social media platform that someone's going to, then you want to tailor the content to that particular social media platform so it's relevant. So here are 4 ways that a social media manager can help a business owner. And number 1 is with a content strategy. Number 2 is to create or repurpose content. Number 3 is them on brand design. And number 4 is to create consistency, which we all hear a lot about on social media, but it is very important. So a content strategy is really a must when it comes to social media, because there's so much noise online already, there's no point in just adding to the noise for the sake of it. But if you do add content that your audience is interested in and that educates them, they will keep engaging with your content. They're not, they're not going to switch off or unfollow you if you're always providing great content. And I know that, Kathy does this really well with the videos that she's putting out with tips and tricks and things like that. So things like that are great. I don't think you can ever give away too much information to your audience. So a social media manager will also look at your statistics and your analytics to check, the best times or when your audience is online, the type of content that they are engaging with. And they'll also research some hashtags, so you're increasing your chances of being found. And they'll also research similar topics of interest and conduct some keyword research. So you are creating content that your audience is actually interested in. So number 2 was to create or repurpose content. And I guess a lot of people these days have other content that they've produced. So it might be in the form of a blog post or a podcast or an email newsletter even. A lot of this content can be repurposed. A blog post could be repurposed into probably at least 5 social media posts. And, they can be recreated again as long as it's that evergreen content, so it's always relevant. So a social media manager could go through some old blog posts or listen to some podcasts and pull out some snippets from that for your social media. They can read old newsletters and repurpose them into a blog post as well. So there's lots of different ways that they can help you get more out of the content that you're creating. So it's not just one blog that you post about once on LinkedIn and then that's it. There's definitely ways that you can repurpose that content to really get the most out of it. So you're not consistently having to produce new content all the time. A social media manager will also help you by creating on-brand design. So, not everyone likes words, and some people do like words, some people like visuals. So this is where the design will really come into play, especially for social media platforms like Instagram that are very visual. So at your social media manager, I'm not a graphic designer, but some social media managers are. But for me, I use a program called Canva, which is a great free online tool, and you can create some really amazing looking posts that will be on brand, and that will really help you stand out online. And then if people start to share that content, then that's another way for you to get more exposure to your particular brand. So a social media manager can create branded memes. They can turn client testimonials into templates, and they can also create some branded memes with quotes from blog posts and things like that. So finally, but possibly the most important of all, is that a social media manager will help you create consistency across your social media. By planning content ahead of time, your social media manager will create a content calendar that has you showing up online consistently to your audience, which the consistency is going to help build that know, like, and trust. If you think about if you're not seeing a brand online, all of a sudden you stop seeing their posts and you might think, oh, I wonder if they're still in business. And it's like the example that Lisa used before about, the opening up the shop front. So if people come over to your social media platform, and if you think of it like it's a shop front, which is opening and closing, if you're not being visible, if you're not producing that content on social media, then people will see that your shop front is closed and think that maybe you're not in business anymore. Or, if you're inconsistent and you're posting a lot and then nothing for a while and then you're posting again and nothing, it makes people perhaps question whether or not you are in business, and it means that they may not trust you, which we want to do business with people that we know, like, and trust. So definitely something to think about is having that consistency. And when I talk about consistency, I don't mean that you have to be posting, multiple times a day. If you say, look, I can only post once a week, then great, post once a week, but make sure you're doing that every single week and make it a really good post. I'd much rather see that than 7 mediocre posts because you just feel like you have to be posting. So 3 ways that you can work with me. Number 1 is my social media and content is through social media and content marketing. So that's the done for you social media management service where I create and schedule all of the content. The client does approve the content before I go and schedule it in. So they always know what's going to be going out across their social media. Number 2 is with a social media strategy. So that's for people that feel like they can manage their own social media, but they just want to make sure they're on the right track. So I put together a social media strategy for them that they can follow themselves. And number 3 is through social media presentations and workshops to educate those that are wanting to learn more or perhaps do it themselves. Any questions?
Yeah, I have to say, Sam helps me with one of my social media platforms, and that consistency is just so important because I do take a break for a lot of this month, and I looked at how many posts Sam's put in through for Baseline Women, and I think, gosh, if it wasn't for Sam, then it would be sleepy. So, and it's true, and people are commenting, and all I do is when I get a notification, pop in and interact and engage that way. But without that content, they wouldn't have been top, in the front of people's minds or Instagram accounts. So it's important to have a manager if you're not, because that's the thing with LinkedIn. That's like, oh, I do it and then I'm really great and I get traction and then life gets in the way or you get diverted somewhere else. So it's, even if you don't have Sam or someone to do every part of your social media, you're getting them to do one aspect, I think is really, and then you can do something on the other ones yourself. So I think it's important to have support because we are solopreneurs. We can't do everything on our own. And what Christina was saying before about, you do need someone on your team who's an expert, because if it takes you all that time to learn something, you could have been spending those hours making money. So so I agree with what you about that. Consistency is king.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that touch point thing, is up to like 18 or something. It's crazy
18.
what they need. It's well and truly more than that because it's just so quick. Like people just swipe. And I hate the fact that social media gives you the stats on, someone's fast forwarded you and you go, I don't want to see that. Like, I don't need to know. I just want to know if they've liked it. I don't need to know that they've swiped past it. And you think, oh, that's interesting comp. Why would you want to know that for? Maybe you know that, Sam.
I think just, maybe if you're seeing that that's happening a lot, you might look at, okay, maybe I'll talk less about that, or maybe they're not that interested in that, But if it's 1 or 2 people, then, they might just be on a train and they might not be in a position where they can listen. If it's not, there are no captions, then might be that reason. So it could be
that's true.
A range of different reasons.
Well, thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sam. If you have resonated with what she shared and want to clarify with her more of how you can refer her, maybe you have questions about your own business, then possibly talking to her about helping you. And then if I could recap what I heard is you can be hired for our social media management and do it all done for you. You also provide strategy for folks who want to do it themselves and they just need guidance. And so the truth is you can help any small business owner in some way, correct?
Correct. Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. Well, I want to invite you all to connect with Sam.